Always friends, but this week we're foes. Bucks and Colts square off in week 12. How will that test our long tenured friendship?
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, a tale of two teams. Where we thought each of these teams would be, not necessarily where they are right today.
Battle for the AFC South kicks off this week. Who's going to come out on top? The assumed favorite Jacksonville or the upstart Texans? We'll see if CJ can match Trevor Lawrence's credentials.
And it's Fraudulent Sunday. Buffalo, the Chargers. Which of these teams will try to erase the fraudulent from their name, or will both teams continue to reside in the fraudulent penthouse?
All that and more as Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee wraps up quite a busy week in the NFL, but we're settling into our usual Sunday. Stay tuned after this.
It's never a dull moment in the NFL. Holiday week, and there's some news. Oh, my friend Nutmeg, how are we doing?
Good. Although I kind of got a sinking feeling, albeit an expected sinking feeling, with one of the news items this week. Like we didn't have enough to talk about. It's Thanksgiving. We got games there. We just had a Super Bowl rematch. We got a ton of great matchups this week. We didn't need firings and releases.
Right, it's the holiday season. You figure they'd wait till, Black Monday, things like that. But no, man, the NFL is like, we want to be like every other sport and just start firing, letting people go, having a grand old time. And these are some interesting ones.
12, my Rick Pitino voice. Santa Claus ain't walking through that door.
No, he's not.
So the first one, of course, is Senator on. I can. Now, with releasing Shaq Leonard, and I always feel weird calling him Shaq because when he was drafted, he was Darius Leonard, and that was when he was an All-Pro. So I never really quite figured out where the Shaq thing came from.
You know what's really funny? Like, if you had asked me before you said that what his name was when he got drafted, I wouldn't have known. I would have been like, what was it? Because I'm so used to the Shaq. And now, mind you, it hasn't been that much of a time that he's used it. Right. But I'm like, no, he's Shaq, man. What are you talking about, Darius?
Yeah. So we released, Colts released Darius Leonard, Shaq Leonard, and waived him rather. And this one, it was kind of something that I could read the writing on the walls about. I'm actually surprised it took this long. I'm a little surprised they didn't try to trade him, but I guess all the injuries probably made him the injuries plus his contract kind of made him a hard piece to deal. But ever since and corrected, it's weird to hang your hat on Carson Wentz, but ever since we kind of quote unquote gave up on Carson Wentz after a year, that was when things started to go downhill with Leonard. And he said, like, hey, can we just commit to one quarterback? We're changing it out a lot. At this point, you've already gone through the Brissett year, which was kind of ad lib because Luck retired at the last second possible. You've already Rivers came in for his year, then he retired. Then we brought in Wentz, gave him a big deal, got rid of him the next year. So, but ever since that kind of started the downhill motion, and Leonard was very unhappy that we couldn't find some stability at the position. And then of course the injuries took over, and he was not really the same ever since. So right. I as a fan can't really say I'm surprised by their release, but he wasn't all pro his first 3 seasons in the league, so I'm still nonetheless a little saddened by it, I guess, from a football.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird because he was really vocal in supporting Wentz during the Wentz era. So I think maybe it was just a situation where maybe management said, all right, you know what? He's a little too voicey. Maybe Shaq needs to go.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. Like you said, all pro, had some injuries. You figured he was coming back this year. Seemed to play well, but unfortunately, this is the same franchise that gave millions upon millions to orchids out there in the world. So they must have a plan. So now the situation is Shaq's probably going to clear waivers. I believe he has. So which team is going to take a chance on him? I think he's still a quality player, and if he fits in the right scheme, he can be productive.
Yeah, I feel like the latest rumor I heard was Dallas, which there's a need there because the Van Der Esch, whose season
Yep.
just ended recently. So there's a gaping hole at linebacker for them.
Mm-hmm.
And if Leonard's healthy going in there, he'll fill that very easily. But of course, the trend this year is that the Niners just pick up everyone's Pro Bowl defensive player. So for all I know, maybe it's just gonna be the Niners again. They'll get another one.
I'll tell you this, man. If he doesn't mind, reduced playing for a playoff team, because let's be realistic, he's not going to start. He won't start. Even in Dallas, it'll be a role kind of situation. So if he's, about winning that ring, why not? Continue to put some quality tape out there and then, go free agent, see
If
what's
it
out there.
if it materializes fast,
Mhm.
before the end of the season, or like soon now, before, and then by the end of the season into the playoffs, I feel like he could probably be starting, especially if it's Dallas with an open starting linebacker position.
Could be, I think the health is still an issue. Teams are going to be cautious with him. Dallas, I think, has enough players where it'd be great for him to start, but he can work his way into that role.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to do it. And if, Dallas says, you know what, we're going to, put you on a rotational type situation and we'll see what happens. I think he needs to take it. If you want a ring, you want to win, hey, be a rotational player, but, show out when you're in, and some team is going to give you a decent contract and make your way back to a starter.
Well, that'd be better than Niners. He's definitely not starting on the Niners linebacking core. That's pretty much set right now.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting maybe 10 or 12 plays,
Yeah.
a game. And like I said, be happy with it. You're trying to put your name back out there so that a team will say, hey, you know what, he's good to go. He's a three-time all-pro guy. Come in and start.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to swallow the crow, and I think he really needs to. If a playoff team is going to come to you and say, hey, you're not going to start, but you're going to get meaningful reps, then you take them.
Right. That goes into our firings. So the first of which is one hot off the presses. That is Washington bidding adieu to Jack Del Rio, who's actually been there quite a while. Like he may have actually predated Ron Rivera there.
I think he may have.
Yeah, and this is fresh off them giving up 40 points to Dallas on Thanksgiving. Right, and now, granted, it's not the best showing because all the nations watching on Thanksgiving, but at the same time, I mean, what did you expect was going to happen? We talked about this on our previous show. Like, I feel like I almost feel bad holding that against Jack Del Rio because, like, what did you expect was going to happen against Dallas, especially on Thanksgiving?
Exactly. Plus, it wasn't like the offense was putting up 30 points. Now, if you tell me that the offense had put up some points and the defense just shat the bed, okay, then he deserves it. But the offense didn't do anything. So it's common sense. If your defense is out there too long, they're going to give up points, especially against Dallas. So, you know what? It's probably better off for him. Honestly, I think the new ownership is going to clean house, except, for a few guys. So maybe it was just the right time for him to go.
The better to get off now with 5-6 weeks of kind of palate cleansing than to get dumped at the end of the season with Riverboat Ron and the rest of the staff. Probably save Bieniemy since he was more or less closer to the transition of ownership than the rest of them.
I think Bieniemy is safe because of Sam Howell. Sam Howell's leading the league in yards. So here's the deal. Is Bieniemy the reason Sam Howell's great? Right now, you got to say yes.
Yeah.
So Bieniemy may just get the chance to coach.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Del Rio's a quality defensive guy. He was in a bad situation. The writing was on the wall that they were going to clean house. So you know what? He'll land somewhere. He definitely will.
Oh yeah, he's been around the league for so long. I mean, he was
Mhm.
coached Jacksonville forever. He was a DC and Minnesota for a long time. So I'm sure someone that needs a fresh voice on defense won't waste too long to scoop him up.
Exactly.
Then of course the last news item happened in the middle of this previous week, and that was Pittsburgh parting ways with Matt Canada, or outright firing. I should get my terminology straight. Outright firing him, and we touched on this a little bit off air, but this
Mhm.
was another one. Well, kind of, I guess, kind of in the middle, not so much close to the Jack Del Rio, but compared to Ken Dorsey's firing in Buffalo. It's like, okay, can the Buffalo still near the top of the league in all these statistical categories? Um, and was that right? Was it necessarily Ken Dorsey's fault when Josh is turning the ball over left and right? And now Matt Canada gets fired in Pittsburgh, and now it's well known all the fire Canada chants or whatever they were going through Heinz Field. But
Mhm.
I mean, what's Matt Canada got to work with? I mean, Kenny Pickett's got these all pro weapons. Well, I don't want to say all pro, but Pro Bowl level type of receivers, or at least high grade talent weapons around
Mhm.
him. Is it really the system? Is it Matt Canada's fault, or is it like, okay, Kenny Pickett's just still too raw?
Here's the thing: they couldn't really run the ball till recently. Let's be realistic. Najee was non-existent. You know, all of a sudden, let's be real.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
week it was every week we played. Where's Najee? And Warren started to develop and started to show out a bit. And I don't know. Whoever they put in there, it better be someone who's going to turn this offense into something spectacular. Because if you're getting the same results with the same guys, it's not Canada's fault. You
right.
know, um, Kenny Pickett, kind of stalled out this year. Now, here's my question: it's always the offensive coordinator. Isn't there a quarterback coach? Like, no,
He's the
like
new
there's a
OC, I think.
so you're telling me the quarterback coach who couldn't get Pickett's head right or whatever, but he's going to run the offense? Makes no
Yeah,
sense to me. What does the quarterback coach do?
I'm gonna. Oh, maybe they. Sorry. Pardon the pun, real quick. Maybe they make sure the in PSI levels right in the footballs.
Man's got jokes. Man's got jokes.
Sorry. It seemed like an appropriate response.
Man's been looking for a quarterback for a decade, but the man's got jokes. Okay. So, but really, what does a quarterback coach do? Does he make sure that the exchange between the center and the quarterback is right? What does he do? So now you fire your OC. Your quarterback coach is going to be the guy calling the plays. Okay, so now we're going to see. We're going to see if all of a sudden, Pitt's putting up 30 points a game. Is it going to be back to the killer bees? Like,
Yeah. And if it's not, are the fans going to start booing and calling for this guy's head now?
no, I think if not, then I believe the untouchable Mike Tomlin's going to start catching some heat.
Yeah.
you
Wish.
know yeah, because let's figure it's been 9-8 for a while, and he can do no wrong. Everybody, he's one of the greatest coaches. Well, he's been 9-8 for a while, and I get it. Hey, you're 500, you're surviving, but there's got to be a point when it's like, hey, what's going on?
And in theory, he's been there long enough. Like Pittsburgh hangs their hat on the fact that they don't change coaches. They've had three coaches in 40 years or whatever it is.
Right.
They hang their hat on not changing coaches. But Mike Tomlin's been there for 20 years himself right now. So in theory, you shouldn't have to deal with that. Oh well, we're giving up on Mike Tomlin too soon. He got you two Super Bowls. He won one of them. I
Right.
mean,
And then that's the point too. Okay, so he won you a Super Bowl. Okay, we kind of hold air. We're starting to hold Aaron Rodgers to that. You won one Super Bowl. What have you done for me lately? That's the NFL. It's a what have you done for me lately league.
right.
We know Pittsburgh, holds on to everybody, the rich tradition and all. But let's be realistic. Maybe Najee in that little clip on TikTok wasn't talking about necessarily other coaches. Maybe he was talking about Tomlin and how things are running over there. Let's be real. Could be.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of gray area to read into that quote, the quote that wound up making its way around the webs.
So this change better be the change that they need, because if they end up not making the playoffs or barely scraping by, the next season they better be averaging 30 plus points a game. They better be a dynamic offense.
Right. Well, speaking of what they're gonna do past this this personnel change, they get now play Cincinnati, and we figured last week that they might scrape by the Cleveland game because Cleveland, Watson was just shelved for the season, and now they're going
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati off of Burrow with this, hand gate or wrist gate or whatever it is. Because calf gate wasn't enough. Uh, now they go into Cincinnati and they're in another situation where it's like, okay, here's a game that just lost their starting quarterback. They should have, Pittsburgh should have with this game, but are we almost maybe we're almost setting ourselves up for another surprise, failure, disappointment, whatever moniker you want to add to it. And maybe Pittsburgh is going to lay an egg again against a team with no starting quarterback that they probably should win.
If Pittsburgh lays an egg in this game, then yeah, there's a situation. This game is primed for Pitt to win. Like, since he's trying to figure out this offense, what it's going to be, like it's this offense is totally different without Joe Shiesty. Let's be truthful about it. Browning looks like he could be a kid who could do something, but it's going to take some time to get timing down with these guys and things like that. Pittsburgh needs to win this game. If they don't, yeah, I don't think it's pretty in Pittsburgh. I think there's a problem.
I
You
think
have
there's
to win.
Yeah, I think there's a big problem if you lose to Cincinnati led by Browning, and especially if he puts up numbers. Well, actually, I mean, what would be worse if Cincinnati putting up a pretty good offensive output? I mean, obviously they're probably not going to explode for 40 because the defense is still very good. But even if like they get 20, 22, 23, 25, maybe even, and they wind up winning this game and Pittsburgh offense sputters again. Uh, I mean, what would look worse? Yeah, a game where you get lit up, but the offense, quote unquote rebounds from the Canada firing or responds to it, I guess would be more appropriate. Or a game where you or a game where the offense just doesn't work. Like which one would be worse? Like, okay, the offense play or you win, but maybe you win like 14-7. What would be maybe that's the way I should preference the hypothetical. A game where you light it up, but you lose.
Right.
Or a game where you really struggle to score points, but you eke out a win.
I think right now, because it's Cincinnati, I think you would rather take the eke out and win. I think you'd want that. It's because then you can say, well, you know what? The new guy's only been in there a week. He's installing his stuff. We're changing things up. They get a pass. If
Right.
they win, they get the pass. But yeah, you put up points, but you lose. You should have beat a wounded duck, which is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They're going to say, oh, well, now look, you put up points, but you can't beat a Cincinnati team without Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want? What do you want to be? So I think if it ends up being like a 14-7 or a 14-6 kind of game and they win, they take it. Because right now, everyone has switched into playoff mode now. Now you're looking at seed and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. So if you eke it out, yeah, it's great. But then you're hoping next week the offense is going to put up some points.
Yeah. The worst of both worlds would of course be if it's low scoring and you lose.
Oh, that's a bonus. I'm hoping for a 9-6 Cincy win. 9-6.
Oh.
9-6. So I can watch Mike Tomlin sit up there and be like, well, this is how things go. And we're going to, yeah. I've been here for like 30 years and we're still great. And I'm hanging my hat on that one Super Bowl. Thank you, Santonio Holmes, and blah, blah, blah.
Should have lost. Larry Fitzgerald should have been walking it up into glory on that one.
Damn, Larry, man. I wish Larry, man. The one man you wish would have won a Super Bowl right there, Larry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Pitt just needs to win. And hey, if it's 2 or 3 weeks and then the offense gets going, then okay, then it was a situation where it just took some time. They're installing some new stuff. But you made the decision, Mike, so now you got to live with it.
Is the season over for Cincinnati if they lose?
I think you got to say yes. I just don't know if they have enough where they're gonna, pull it out. I don't think Browning has enough tape for me to sit there and say, okay, well, I know what this guy's all about. Now, maybe they go on some magical run. Maybe this is the game where it all starts and they win, they win out and they somehow end up with like the 5th or 6th seed and they're the team no one wants to play. He's the new Brock Purdy. I don't know.
Oh, the new Brock Purdy. He's not gonna be the new Tom Brady.
No one, bite your tongue. There is no,
I'm
never.
not talking about Tom Brady after 20 years. I'm talking about Tom Brady in 2001.
No, none of these cats could touch Tom of that year. Come on. Come on now. No one could touch Tom of that time.
Joe Burrow gets shuttled off to Cleveland like Drew got shuttled off to Buffalo.
And that's what happens. That's what happens when greatness enters your building at 199.
Yeah.
That's right. But
sorry. Didn't need to enter in too many hypotheticals to the question.
Exactly, right? Just opens a door.
Yeah.
I don't know. Since he would have to win out and just catch fire, and I don't know if they have it. I really don't.
Yeah. So the next top game we're going to talk is the battle for the AFC South, and unfortunately, at the moment, it's not currently residing with my team's competition. But Jacksonville and Houston square off. The game is in Houston. CJ Stroud's obviously been remarkable the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacksonville is up and down. I mean, they have good games, they have bad games.
They're Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
that's what we called them.
I love the Jekyll and Hyde thing because they get smacked around by San Francisco and they light up Tennessee. It's almost like, well, whoop-de-doo, you lit up Tennessee. Will Levis is in his 3rd start, and he showed off the arm against Atlanta, and then he got embarrassed in two back-to-back games. So,
exactly.
Is this the game where we really start to question Jacksonville's mettle as far as a playoff contender? Because Houston's going to come in, defense playing well, CJ Stroud's on a hot streak. Is this the game where it's like, okay, maybe Jacksonville's not what we really thought they were?
Oh yeah, definitely. Jacksonville has to win this game for people to say, you know what? Yep, they are the heir. They are the division leaders. This is their division to lose. They have to. If they put up a goose egg or just fall apart, and CJ takes it to them, then the Jags, I believe, will become the 3rd member or the 3rd roommate in the fraudulent penthouse.
We get a fraudulent?
Fraudulent! Yes. The Jags are teetering. They're teetering. They have to beat Houston. They have to. If not, no one's going to take them seriously because everyone believes in Houston. Houston's legitimate.
Yeah.
This team comes and brings it every week. So if CJ comes in and handles business against the Jags are fraudulent. No one's going to fear them.
For what you've seen out of the Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence era, do you think they can handle that type of pressure from an upstart club that shouldn't really be in the same breath as them right now?
Wow. You would hope so. You really would hope so because the Jags were that not too long ago. They were that upstart team. Peterson came in, after the hot mess of head coaching that the Jags had to deal with Urban Meyer. And, the ship was righted and everyone was like, all right, the Jags are on their way. This was the year where the Jags were supposed to take their place amongst the elite of the AFC. If they lose to Houston, they're Buffalo. They're Buffalo South.
Yes.
They're Buffalo South. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, and you know what the weirdest part is about the last couple of weeks, and it's weird that one was a blowout win and the other was a blowout loss, is the fact that Travis Etienne, who was stellar for like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, has been non-existent for the last 2 games. Non-existent. He's getting to Najee Harris territory.
Wow. Wait, no. Even if he finishes up subpar, he can't be Najee. Najee's been subpar from the beginning he's at least Najee's been consistently
bad.
All right. Najee hasn't given you any hope, so I can't do that to Travis just yet. But no, the Jags need to handle Houston because Houston's what, a game out?
They're only a game back right now. If Houston were to win this game, they would be dead even 7-4.
And at that point, Houston is walking around with their chests pumped out, and they definitely have no fear. They truly believe at that point that, hey, maybe the AFC Championship isn't out of our reach. We can probably take this division.
That's scary for the future if they have like nobody big money on the contract other than Laramie Tunsil. God bless the man. He negotiates multi-million-dollar contracts. He's a tackle and he doesn't have an agent. I don't know how the man does it.
And it all started with a gas mask on draft night.
Yeah,
Think about that. Everyone's like, he's toxic. No one wants him. Miami, whatever. Miami says, we don't want you. Get rid of him. And he's like, all right, we start making my money.
Yeah.
And here he is. So you're right, man. Tunsil, incredible. But yeah, and I hate to use the term, but no names except for CJ and Jarrett and Tunsil. Let's be realistic.
That's it.
It's a bunch of guys who they drafted. No one had any hopes for or whatever, and these guys are legit.
Yeah, it's like it's almost the point. Like I still want to hate them, obviously, because they're a division rival. But there's nothing tangible about this team to hate.
No, this team has been built beautifully.
Yeah.
Now let's think about it. Let's say they finish strong, or let's say they make the playoffs, right? Let's say they're a one and done heartbreaker, kind of lose in the playoffs. They're going to be free agents that are going to want to go there. They're going to say, especially offensive players, they're going to be like, hey man, let's look at this.
Right.
This kid is legit. Running back position is decent. Pierce is non-existent now. It's Singletary's job to lose now at this point.
It just shouldn't be that hard of a job to break, really, for a free agent coming in.
Exactly. You shore up that defense a bit more. Like in a couple of years, they could be the team that runs the AFC.
Oh yeah. I don't want to think of that. But you're right. I mean, attractive free agent destination. I mean, you got a quarterback who's young, red hot. You got a head coach that everyone buys in. Players seemingly love. And on top of the fact, income tax-free state. So it's like you just add everything up. Like this should be a super attractive free agent destination.
Yep. And if they continue to win and they win that division, get ready, man. Houston's going to be a team in the AFC to deal with.
Right. The third game, I guess we'll kind of call this. We just talked battle of the AFC South. I guess we'll kind of call this one the battle of the NFC South and it'd be interesting for your take right off the bat because you have Tampa has the same record as Atlanta, 4-6, and New Orleans is barely hanging out at first at 5-5. So I mean, obviously you would want not only a win from your own team, but an Atlanta win so everyone's dead knotted in a 3-way tie.
Right.
So what do you actually think will happen then between the Saints and the Falcons?
This is going to be a cluster. I don't even know. Like legit. Like if you look at these squads,
you can't even have a sliver of hope. Like, okay, I can hope. I can have reasonable confidence that Atlanta will do me a favor. You can't even say that.
I don't know who's even starting this week at quarterback. There's a chance that Ritter comes back, so I have no idea. Michael Thomas is out for the Saints. It's a mess. I don't even know. It's almost a flip of the coin. If I was a Saints fan, of course, I would swear that Drew, number 9, was going to be back there. And, our defense is incredible, blah, blah, blah. And, unfortunately, Saints fans are delusional. They don't really understand what they have. It's blah, blah. Like, let's be real. The NFC South is a blah division. It's horrible. And I enjoy being a part of this. I really do. But, yeah, I would hope that the Falcons would somehow be able to eke this out. And they may. Koo may hit something, and last, 3-second kick. Hey, man, I'm all about it. But I have no faith whatsoever. Whatever happens, happens. And I just got to roll with it. I have nothing to say. This is
almost like the classic game, like just take care of your own business.
That's exactly what it is.
And just ignore that game until it's final.
We got to play 17 games and whatever happens, happens. I can't worry about these two knuckleheads right now. It's like, all right. It's like that meme where the guy with the stick is poking something. It's like, come on, do something. Do something. And that's what I'm doing with these two. Do something. That's just what it is. At least in Tampa, we're entertaining and, we put out a quality product. We might not win, but we put out a quality product. These two are like, gosh, this is awful. Like, do I really want to watch this? Like it's not even worth red zone. Like, it's so bad, Like, I want the Falcons to win, but I can't. I'm going to have the unicorn, Kyle Pitts. Hey, throw me the ball. Here I am. Doesn't do nothing. Is Bijan even going to play? Is he going to even make the game? Like, we don't even know if Bijan shows up. Like, it's horrible. And then the Saints swear they're, some playoff team, and they're just hideous. So whatever. Cam Jordan and his muck self, whatever. The only reason we're talking about, then he's that awful pizza commercial for Little Caesars. The only reason I watch that is for George Kittle and Fitzmagic. That's the only reason why they make that commercial. Cam Jordan is a horrible spokesman. Like, why would you pick him? But whatever. I digress. The only reason we talk about this game is because it has divisional implications.
Ramifications.
Like, really. The whole division is begging to get into the hunt. Like, we're giving the guy $50 and we still can't get in.
At this point, Carolina could go on a run and they could be in the hunt.
Okay, now you're on something. You need to stop that. Wherever you're going, tell that guy to stop. Stop spraying it with Raid, because that's horrible. There's no way Carolina is going anything. Good Lord. But yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, AFC South game. Yeah, it's great. Whatever. Let's move on.
Well,
there's nothing there, man. Nothing there. What can I tell you? There's nothing there.
Turn off alerts and tell me what happened in 3 hours.
It's going to be 6-3. I'm telling you, if you guys have anyone fantasy from either of those two teams, I hope you got Koo, because he's the only guarantee you got. Only guarantee.
Well, speaking of guarantees, the only 2 guarantees we've got out of the next 2 games are the fact that they're probably not going to win a Super Bowl because we can't trust them. So, opening up a great little subtopic as far as which fraud is the bigger fraud. So
wait a minute. So you tell me we're going to the Fraudulent Hotel.
We're going to the Fraudulent Hotel.
Fraudulent. Let's go. So my favorite part of the show, right here.
That's right. Checking in for at this point, it's just becoming just a regular staple of the program. Sorry, I have to say it like Pat McAfee. The program. We love to dump on Buffalo, so we'll talk them first. They go into Philly this week, and Philly one they need to win just to maintain their lead on Detroit. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got a little bit bailed out. San Francisco won. Detroit lost Thanksgiving, so they got a little bit bailed out. That they already kind of have the extra lead on San Francisco going into the game next week against the Niners. And then the Lions drop one, so they kind of get a little extra hint there. But they need this win to maintain that lead they already had. Right. Is this going to be remotely competitive, like anywhere close to what we thought it was going into the season, or is Philly just going to ramshod on Buffalo?
No, because that's what we would think would happen. They're
going to have a Jets game? The Eagles are going to have a Jets game?
No, I'm not saying they're going to lose, but it's going to be one of those games where the Eagles find a way to win. Like, they're not. It's like, I would hope it'd be like 35-17, just like a drubbing, so that like Buffalo just goes off and just cries and it's over, whatever. But no, Buffalo will somehow find their way in this game. I don't know how, but that's just how the script works in the NFL. And Philly will somehow win this game. You would hope Philly would, figure it out. Okay, let's all 3 phases play well. They're home, so I hope, but I don't know. Jalen's knee is, suspect still. I think they have enough weapons where they'll beat Buffalo, but I'm sure Buffalo at some point will make it interesting. But we are talking about Josh Allen, so who knows? He's probably good for 2. He's good for 2 picks and a fumble this game. You probably could bet that. You probably could bet the house on that.
Yeah, the only reason why he's not a complete waste of fantasy space is the fact that he'll probably still have 330 yards and a couple touchdowns, and it'll be a net draw.
Exactly. So he'll get you 22 to 24 points on your fantasy team. Yeah. Roll with it.
Which which looks good, except the alternative could have been 35.
Exactly. It could have been, wow, if you didn't fumble or throw the 2 picks, you could have had
I
45
would
to
have
50.
roasted this guy.
But that's what Buffalo does to people. It just ruins dreams. They're
So
dream crushers.
yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure their bye week is after this game. So let's say things go according to quote unquote plan, regardless of what the score is. Philly wins, whatever, yada yada yada. Buffalo's down to 6-6. Going into the bye week, at least I'm pretty sure going into the bye week, is their season over at 6-6? Because they're not even in the playoff picture now, let alone with another L.
They're in the hunt. They made it in the room. They gave the guy $20. They're in the room still. You still got Pittsburgh, who we don't trust. The Jags very well could start to slip. So they're not totally out of it, but the warning signs are starting to show. The hot seat is starting. It's 6-6. That gives you 5 games left. You better go 5-0. You better go 5-0 because it doesn't matter if you win whatever division games you have left because you're not winning the division. So you've got to hope everybody else falters. Now you truly are saying one game at a time. Can't worry about everybody else.
Not winning the division, especially after seeing what Miami just did to the Jets on Black Friday.
Yeah, Amazon's idea. Wow, let's have a Black Friday game. Yeah, bet you they're kicking themselves for this fiasco. But yeah,
should have just stuck with 30% off plasma TVs.
Seriously, like I love how like every commercial there's like a QR code. Oh, here it's our new deal. Scan it. I'm like, I don't want to scan a toothbrush. I don't need a toothbrush. I'm good. It's like ridiculous. But we digress. Now, if Buffalo somehow pulls off a miracle and wins, okay, now they're sitting there going, okay, here we go. Now, at least you're going in at 500. You're going in over 500. So it all depends what Buffalo can do. I don't have any faith in them whatsoever.
If they could win, it's definitely a significant. If they could win and Houston wins, that's very good for them because if I'm not mistaken, Buffalo did win that game in London, right? Against the Jags, so they would have the head-to-head matchup.
No, I think the Jags won that game.
Oh, okay, all right. No,
I think the Jags won.
I mean, at this point, they're two fraudulent teams. I can't keep track of who wins them.
Buffalo just needs to try to beat Philly and then just go into the bye and say, okay, now we got to try to figure it out. Here's the stretch run. We got 5 games. We got to see what we can do. That's at this point, that's what it is. You're past the point of, okay, the first quarter where it's like, all right, 2-4, 2-2. Okay, now let's get going. You're way past it. Now you're playing for your life.
Fraud versus fraud. What do I care? Neither one of them can do anything.
So sad.
So our other fraudulent bowl is one you've just been waiting for the head coach to get fired. You keep calling.
Like seriously, man. If Del Rio can get canned, why can't this cat get canned? Like, what does he do? Like, what dirt does he have on ownership? Because this is ridiculous. I can't handle them.
The only thing that slightly preserves the fact of them getting scraped is the fact that they're at home this week, but they're on Sunday night. It's a national audience, and
they're getting scraped. No, that's it. It doesn't matter that they're home. They're on national TV. They're about to get whooped.
Well, they've done it a couple times by now. And they probably should have lost to the Jets too, which is mind-boggling to think of. But whatever.
Yeah, this team has Kirk Cousins syndrome. Can't play well on prime time.
Yeah. So I mean, how bad is this going to be? I mean, this one at 4-6. If they lose to Baltimore, it's definitely got to be season over. Season over. Staley gone. Let's start just before December strikes.
Yeah, basically they are playing for their playoff lives. Baltimore does have some guys nicked up, but Lamar's been incredible so far this year. So the Chargers need to win this. If they lose and like Baltimore puts it on them offensively, then yeah, that seat is beyond hot. It's flaming, and ownership should just say, okay, it's been fun, Staley. We just gotta end it now. Like we're not even gonna wait. Like let's just get you out of here. The Chargers, the problem is the Chargers score, but they just lose these games. It's not like Pitt where they barely put up 14 points and still look bad. Like the Chargers, they'll put up points, but they just can't do it. Their defense, for all that talent, just can't do it. They're like a poor man's 49ers. All that talent, but just can't do it.
It's pretty hard to look bad when you're still putting up 30 a game.
Yeah, you're putting up 30. You're like, wow, but the other team's putting up 35. So you're like, yeah, we just can't do this. This is a hot mess. That defense with all that talent, like I said, they're a poor man's 49ers team. It's like the Bizarro world. The 49ers are Superman.
That's more accurate. That's more accurate moniker. They're the Bizarro Niners.
The Bizarro Niners. The 49ers have all that talent and perform. Chargers, all that talent, can't do squat. So that's what that is. But the fraud. Yep, these guys are just going to continue to get comfortable in the fraudulent penthouse, and this is what it is.
Which one of them is the bigger fraud? Bills or Chargers? Which one of them is the bigger fraud?
Buffalo, because they actually have gone further.
They've actually sniffed it. They've actually sniffed success.
They were there. The Chargers one game in had it, then got blown out in the second half by the Jags. So it was like a tease. It was like a quick tease. Buffalo, they were anointed the AFC. Let's be realistic. They were supposed to be the team that took out KC. They were one of it was them, Cincinnati. Those were the two teams that were the heir apparents. And Buffalo is just fraudulent. Can't do it. It's over.
Can we get one more?
Fraudulent. All day, every day.
That's right. All right, let's have some fun. And I actually do want to have some fun with this topic because there are teams and they're playing this week. It's in Indy. So
it's been a long time. If we really
want to
go
a couple of years.
Yeah, but let's be realistic. Let's go back.
Brady was there a couple of years ago. Now it's no Brady, no Peyton.
If we go back really to when it was at its highest between me and you was New England and Indy.
Yeah.
It was every year. It was like, okay, we knew this was coming down.
Yeah.
And we were friends. We're still friends after all this time, we never took it seriously. No one ever rubbed it into any other's faces. We respected each other. It wasn't like it was like the Jets and the Patriots where like, you were like a Jets fan and I was like, yeah, you suck, get out of here, whatever. Like,
I wonder who that could be.
there was never any malice. So now it's kind of nice. It's like, oh, by the way, we're playing. That's cool.
Fun
like
now,
every 5 years. Okay, we're cool.
There's no legacy on the line. It's just fun.
Yeah, there's no exactly. There's no butt fumble or anything like that attached to this.
That's right. So I want to have some fun with this. I'm going to try to make the best case for Tampa, and I would like you to try to make the best case for Indy.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I can do. All right. I can do that. Now you do know that there are some injuries on the Bucs side, right?
Oh, who's hurt?
Okay. Levante David and Jamel Dean are out.
All right. Okay. So
Carlton
corner linebacker. Okay.
Carlton Davis and Devin White are game time decisions.
Oof.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So it could be a pass happy. Pass happy type of offense for us.
Yep, which kind of helps me out because yes, you know where I'm going to go with this. If you'd like me to go first, I can go first.
Go ahead. You're making the pro Indy case.
The pro Indy case. I got horseshoes on my head. Sure. Wow, this is ugly. No, I'm kidding. All right, so with said injuries, I think the Colts should be able to move the ball. I really do. I think Uncle Rico has shown that he, as long as he plays within himself, within the construct of the offense, he'll be able to deliver the ball. I think they've really started to use the running backs very well, Taylor included in the pass game. So I think there's going to be a lot of passing. Taylor's really starting to catch his rhythm, catch his stride. Now Tampa does stop the run, is a quality run stopping team, but I think it's going to be a situation where with the issue in the secondary, the run game could develop. Now, the only difference is is, I'm going to have to use we, even though I don't mean we, but in this instance we do. The Colts. The red zone is going to be tough because the Bucks are a top 5 team in red zone defense. So the red zone is going to be highly important. So it's going to be a situation as long as Minshew, no stupid throws, stupid turnovers, and can score in the red zone. I believe we've got a shot to beat Tampa. Excuse me. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cold. It's my allergies.
Flu and sinus, flu and Uncle Rico.
Where's my Mucinex when I need it?
Flu and Steichen, I should say. Yeah. Well, so Uncle Rico not making bad throws. Just asking a lot. And the fact that Mo Alley Cox is not had a great year, that will honestly add to them probably not having good red zone numbers because he's the red zone target. But from Tampa, so Colts this year, really, they have been. I figured it would be the other way around. I thought up front would be a struggle and the defensive backfield would be the shining, but it's really been inversed. And Tampa, of course, now granted, when Tampa Tampa have had success, it's balanced offense, running game going, and Baker can let it rip. So in this game, the strength of the Colts defense has been more upfront. So that's going to be the big key. It can White get going, even if it's dump offs. People obviously a dump off is a pass, but they're short yardage. They're 3, 4, 5 yards at the time, sometimes 6. They're effectively running plays.
Right.
So if White can just get those intermediate routes going, that'll break the defense up, spread everybody out, and Baker will be able to rip. And if Baker's able to rip, I think Baker could feast on an Indianapolis secondary. Sorry, I almost made a slip up there. If Baker can let it rip, he may have success. At least has a significant chance to have success against Colts secondary. It'll just depend. I mean, the one bright spot back there this season really has been Julian Blackmon. Mm-hmm. So if we Tampa can keep that intermediary game field position game going, I think Tampa can have enough balance to get by it. And in any event, I think this game will be kind of close. Because
definitely will be close.
Indy does have, despite not having any pass rushers, really, they do have a pretty formidable defensive front this year. So if they can get pressure on Baker, that alleviates some pressure off of the Colts to really score back and forth. So I don't think I think this is probably going to come down to fourth quarter last possession situation, or who wins turnover battle.
No, definitely.
Because Baker's going to light it. Baker will be throwing. He could throw 3 picks, and that's advantage Indy. Or Uncle Rico could just have some bonehead play and.
Uncle Rico's led this offense with 30 plus points. We've seen them put up 30 points. So it's going to be a situation of, like you said, I think it's neutralizing each team's, defensive strength, which right now for both teams is looking like the line, looking like the front. So it's going to be whoever makes the least mistakes is going to come out on top.
Battle of the trenches. Let's go.
That's it, man. That's it, man. 10-6. Here we go.
That seems so weird to watch for over the eras of watching 12 and 18 just aired out. Unless it was snowing, of course, because that happened a few times in FFL.
There you go.
I'm not that hurt over it, I guess. All right, let's switch our hats back to where they should be. So I mean, for me, like you said, it's taking advantage of the injuries is going to be key, and the run game's been a bit of a struggle for Indy this year. But if Taylor can get out and work some creases, that little intermediate, that kind of stuff, and maybe even keep Moss more to balance the offense. Let Taylor run because Taylor's had such
Yeah,
running in
I
the
would think
past.
they'd really use Moss. I think Moss has been great for that offense once he's
Yeah,
in. I think he really needs to be. I don't want to see more of a centerpiece, but even if they go 50-50 split carry wise, I think Moss needs to get his hands on the ball.
yeah. I think Josh Downs has been very good this year, but Michael Pittman, I'm not a Michael Pittman fan, and he's
It's like they
not
force
number
him to
one.
be a number one, and he's not. He would be a phenomenal number two if you guys could get a physical number one. He'd
Yeah,
be a great number two. He's
yeah,
like a 1B. He's a
yeah,
1B for
yeah.
sure.
What's your final what's your final take on Tampa then? Wearing your Tampa hat again, back to wearing your Tampa.
Basically, what it comes down to is, of course, if we could run the ball, that would be great. But I think it's also a situation where, you know, keep Baker upright and I think the X factor really is Chris Godwin. Godwin hasn't been getting the ball as much as I would like him to do.
Right.
I know they've gotten the ball to Trey Palmer and some of these other guys. I think Cade Otton has started to step up,
Your
but he's got to
boy.
make my boy Cade, number 88, Cade Otton, baby. He's shown some stuff at the tight end position. There've been some catches he's dropped, but he's shown some promise. I think in the pass game a little more balanced, but definitely the run game. And I think for us, defensively, got to keep everything in front. I would really force Uncle Rico to throw the ball. I think we have to stop John Taylor.
Yeah.
Stop him and force Uncle Rico to make the throws.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to go about it for us.
No, you definitely do, and even a moderate amount of pressure. If you can neutralize Taylor and put even a moderate amount of pressure on Uncle Rico, you probably will force one or two bad mistakes.
And then it's just the fact that once we have the ball, we got to score. We
Right.
really have to score. I would like to see us actually put up 27, 28 points and just show, because Baker, I think, has been better than advertised this year.
Mhm.
If you compare stats to other quarterbacks in the league, his stats are comparable to those guys. So he just has to, be smart and not make that one throw he always does where he thinks he can, get it in there. He still sometimes has that gunslinger mentality, but he has been better than he has in years past. So I think it's going to be a fun game for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm a little jealous you get to watch it and not me. But
Man, $89 get you that
for
Sunday
the
ticket.
the last month and a half. That's right.
Last month and a half, it's $89.
Um, so let's have got a little bit of time before the show's up for this week. Let's have a little bit of fun because a bit of a rivalry that caused you some angst in the past as far as building Tom's legacy was those two Super Bowls against the Giants. So
It wasn't Tom's fault. It was the defense's fault. Let's be real.
this the Giants and Patriots square off again this week, and it's not quite looking like the Giants Patriots games of old.
It's a hot mess. Like
16 combined losses.
honestly, like if you look at these two teams, honestly, the only unit I would take on a team would be the Giants defense. Those guys play with heart. I must say I'm impressed with that defense. Those guys play with heart. Though you got to give, Mr. DeVito some props. He's starting to, develop a little bit. The Giants are winning this game. Like if the Giants don't beat the Patriots, and the Giants are horrible. Like they're just straight horrible. New England, we don't even know who's starting on Sunday for New England.
That's right. Bill's keeping that tight to the vest.
You got three choices: Mac Jones, Zappy, or Will Greer. They even said Will Greer. If Will Greer starts for New England, then if I'm a New England fan, I'm done. Hang it up. Now watch, Will Greer throws for like 340, and all of a sudden he's the toast of the town, and it all starts over again with Will Greer. And then maybe Carolina's sitting there going, "Wow, that's what we had.
We could have taken a tackle and then take this guy."
Yep, and look at this." So, let's be real here. Like the Giants defense should be able to handle that bad New England offense, and it may not be pretty, but I think the Giants will win this game. There's nothing.
That has to be the nail in the coffin for Bill. Has to be. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna get fired on Monday, but At that point, the writing will be on the wall. It has to.
Hey, and then you know what? If teams are interested in him, like these rumors are going around about Washington possibly being interested in him, then trade him in the offseason. Get you some picks, move on. Why? Because at this point you're living off the past glory. And that's one thing that I think in any franchise you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what the Saints are doing. Like, they're all big and bad, man. You haven't won anything in forever. Like, let it go. Like, there's still some shine on New England a little bit because it's, it hasn't been that long, but you're getting there now. It's farther and farther, and it doesn't help that Tom won a Super Bowl after he left.
Yeah.
So I think Robert Kraft needs to say, you know what, it's time to change. The league has changed. Bill's way of coaching, everyone's starting to do it their own way. The young guys, they know the little tricks now. It's not like Bill was, back in the day in his prime, Bill was so far ahead because, he sat home and read the rule book inside and out and knew the stupidest, littlest rules and was, and was able to come out on top. All these guys are doing it now.
Yeah, and I think especially in the age of player empowerment and seeing the success that Antonio Pierce can have on a small basis, that D'Amico Ryans has had this year, I don't think ruling with an iron fist necessarily works anymore in this league.
No, I don't think you have to rule with an iron fist. You just let them know this is how it is. You do what you want to do, but I'm not going to sit here and yell at you and scream at you.
Yeah.
These young guys know, okay, this guy's cool and all, but if I don't do my job, I'm out. And that's what it's got to be. And it's time for New England to sit there and say, hey, it's time for us to, part ways. It's been great. But yeah, it's time to move on. And I think if they lose to the Giants, it's just going to speed up the process.
That's right. Well, we've sped up the process. Time for us to part ways on the show for another week. Catch our full preview show every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, on both YouTube and Rumble, and our audio sidecar show a few hours earlier on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Buccs McGee, week 12. We had a lot of fun. There's a lot of things to be divvied up from this week. Take us off air.
Well, for those gentlemen in the NFL who have lost their jobs, I wish you nothing but the best. Hopefully you land somewhere well. For my friends at the Fraudulent Penthouse, enjoy your stay as it continues. And Colts and Bucks, gonna be a fun one. Let's see what happens. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Nutmeg, let's do it again.